Good morning, everyone. So first of all, welcome to this demo session for the RPA WorkFusion training, which is going to cover like a tool-based approach for an RPA. We know like we have various tools from which we can perform the RPA of operations and automate many things. But like WorkFusion is like one of the tool which I am going to cover today, which has like its own advantages and features. So I would like to like introduce myself. Like I am working in this RP and BPM solution from last 3.5 years. Like I've worked with many tools like WorkFusion. I've worked with Pega and Blue Prism in like various domains, as well as like have completed like more than around 6+ use case automations till date for like four major clients in like various domains like insurance, FMCG, and banking. Also, like I have experienced on automating like various third party applications like SAP, Salesforce. Apart from that, several desktop applications as well, that will be like company specific applications. So moving forward, like what I am going to cover through this demo, so it will be a basic overall like high level intro towards the WorkFusion. What is WorkFusion? What are its components? What are like major features which keeps like WorkFusion separate from other tools and technologies? What are like new things which are coming in WorkFusion in the coming future? Apart from that, like what all other features WorkFusion offers which we are not getting while using other tools, and what will be the prerequisite? So basically like from the slide, if you can see, so the scope for the demo will be like the prerequisite like which we need before starting the WorkFusion, that you should have knowledge regarding in the prior. Okay, so apart from that, like the introduction to WorkFusion. Apart from that, various components from which the WorkFusion is formed. So apart from that, introduction to the web harvest tag and their API. So we will go more deep in this. Like this is a basic development thing. So like what is work with their APIs? What are the web APIs? Okay. Apart from that, the introduction, like the ODF framework, which WorkFusion has recently, like in past year, that WorkFusion has introduced in 10.x version. So basically, the high level I am going to provide for all these things. So moving forward, like what is WorkFusion and what all things we are going to cover throughout this course. So basically, like we are going to cover like what is WorkFusion and like various architecture of WorkFusion, various components of WorkFusion. These all things. Apart from that, like we have manual task like the workspace queue management, how we can customize the manual task. Each of this we are going to cover throughout this course. Apart from that, business process. So what is business process? What are the bot configuration? How we are going to deploy it in the control tower? What is control tower impact? Like these are the things which we are going to cover. Business process flow, like the flow diagram, how we are going to prepare the flow diagram in the control tower. Apart from that, like how various components which we can use to prepare the business process flow. Like there are several other components like the S3 and ETL forms, how we can work with them. OCR, like optical character recognition, which we use to like basically to read characters from the documents, basically from the digital or non-digital documents. That how we are going to do that, we will go through this in this course. Apart from that, like how we can use WorkFusion Studio for our development, that is another part. Apart from that, RPA recorder, although like RPA recorder is not like much used in the industry part, so we are going to, as a part of this course, we are going to see like how we can use RPA recorder. Okay, so next thing is like the web harvest components. Basically, like what are the web harvest tags? What are the web harvest plugins which WorkFusion has introduced, which we are going to use, and how we are going to use, and several part of the web harvest components as well, and like equivalent APIs, Java APIs, which web harvest for the web harvest we got. Okay, working with data stores, like for basically like for how we are going to store data in the data while doing the automation. and how we are going to perform operations on that data, that we are going to cover with this data stores. Apart from that, like Groovy scripting, like Groovy plays a vital role in like WorkFusion automation. So we are going to cover several basic features of the Groovy as well, like what is Groovy and how we call the functions from Groovy and everything. In this, we are also going to cover like the MCV structure or BCV structure, we can say. Okay, bot configuration bundle. So we are going to cover that as well as a part of this course. Like we are also going to like see like various web automation things like Selenium. We are going to see as a part of web and auto desktop automation. Auto IT tool for inspecting various desktop application, various components or elements of the desktop application. How we are going to find the XPath, how we do the XPath finding. Apart from that, various ways of finding the XPath, relative XPath, how we can find the most reliable relative XPaths. When it comes to the web automation, like we are nowadays we are seeing the React.js websites, right? So React based applications, so like there we cannot find like XPath with the IDs, and also we are going to see like most reliable relative XPaths how we can find. So we are going to cover ODF framework as well as a part of this. So like nowadays it is a trend in the WorkFusion while the WorkFusion development, like everybody, each and every company and each and every client is like asking for the ODF framework. Okay, so the one should know the ODF framework. So without this, the WorkFusion is like considered outdated. So this is also one of the major part like which we are going to cover as a part of this course. Apart from that, there will be some more small and additional topics maybe which we need to cover, like Selenium we have, Apache Poe, like we need to cover this API. S3 API we have like to access, in order to access the S3. We will cover more like what is S3 and how we are going to access the S3. Apart from that, design patterns, several design patterns page object, like I have mentioned. Apart from that, like I will also cover the factory design pattern. Apart from that, singleton and whichever is required while the training, I will provide more info on that. Okay, so these are some of the additional topics. Some of the most reliable resources for the WorkFusion that I have found till date is like the documentation which WorkFusion have provided and the Automation Academy. Basically, these are the two major features. The URL is in the deck. So projects I am going to cover for this is like the Amazon did product detail fetching part. So this is like we have an Excel, and like this is almost like both the things are like the industry standard use cases. Okay, so basically like both the things are the industry standard, like which will cover major part of the thing. Here like in the deck, most like many features are not being like described, so we will go through them while developing the projects. Okay, so there will be like Amazon product fetching, like reading Excel file and searching for the product and fetching best prices for the product and preparing the document and putting it in somewhere in the shared drive and or sending the mail. Apart from that, the next will be like a non-web based automation, but it will be like background processing kind of thing. So parse we suppose we have a share file which is in a shared somewhere in the shared drive. We need to read that file and we need to parse it. Or suppose we have a file which is in the S3 that we need to read and process the content, and then we have to send it in an attachment. We have to mail it with an attachment. Okay, so these kind of projects we will be going to do while this during this training. Okay, so basic system requirement will be like you should have a good internet connection. Basically, you should have your own laptop. Okay, so the basic requirement will be like Windows 7, 500 GB hard disk, and 16 GB RAM, and 4-core CPU processor. Okay. Nowadays, like what WorkFusion has done is it has launched a cloud-based application, but it will be a chargeable one. It is not free. So what they have given is like they have given a free local system installation file as well. So we are going to use like that local part. So we are going to install the WorkFusion cloud as a part of our local system. So every operations will be we are performing locally in our system. So we are going to have a mock interviews, one-on-one mock interviews before you will be giving a job. You are applying for a job, and the certifications which we are going to cover is like RP specialist, power user, and RP developer. Okay, there are many other certifications as well, like data analyst, WorkFusion data analyst, WorkFusion ML engineer. Both the certification is on the next level. So let's start with the demo part. Okay, so I will be starting with a topic. It will be more like a introductory session. While going on a training part, it will be like more on a practical basis, not on more than like on a theory basis. Okay, so basically like industry wants more hands-on experience. Like you should know more like about the like the code part, not the theory part. It's okay, like everyone can get the theory part, theoretical knowledge, but also the practical knowledge is must. And as a part of this training session, it will more like a non-spoon feeding. Some of the things that I am going to give you, like that you can search. Okay, that you can also search and find the solution. If you are not finding it, I will be providing you the best solution from myself. Okay, so basically like starting first, like prerequisite for the WorkFusion training. So what are the basic prerequisite for the WorkFusion training? Okay, so I'm opening my notepad. So prerequisite for the WorkFusion training. What are the prerequisites? So one should have knowledge about the Java. Basically, like what we are using is like Java 8 as a market standard as of now. So Java 8, one should have the knowledge regarding the Java 8 part. Basic knowledge of the Selenium framework is like will be an added advantage. Okay, basic knowledge of Groovy, if you have, that will also be an added advantage for you. But both the things like I'm going to cover, but not in that depth, because more we will be focusing on the WorkFusion part, how we are going to do in WorkFusion. Okay, so basics of like Groovy. Okay, apart from that, these are the basic like prerequisite which we are going to need. So apart from that, like what we are going to do is like installation of WorkFusion now. Installation of WorkFusion. So installation of WorkFusion, like we are going to install it locally. Installation will be locally. Installation will be on the local desktop. Okay. What we can do is like for installation, WorkFusion, we have Work Cloud Developer. So this is the download link. From here, you can download and install it. So it is a basic normal installation process. Okay, so it will be basic installation process. So you will be getting like WorkFusion installation, intelligent automation, cloud developer. Okay, so after installing you will be getting this. So as a part of this, you will be getting like an all the various components which we are going to use for the development. So we have like control tower and WorkFusion workspace. I will be covering this like in more detail while covering the various component. RPA worker, it is basically a thread part, like and OCR. Okay, as an part of this, we are also going to get like workspace, RapidMQ, file storage, Nexus, and secret vault. I will be covering all the components in detail when I will be going through that. Okay, so now the next topic will be I will be providing the introduction to WorkFusion. Like basically, what is WorkFusion, and what all advantage it gives above like the other tools like we have in market, like Blue Prism, we have Automation Academy, we have UiPath, we have. So what advantage it gives to us? So like basically like what WorkFusion is, like it is basically a orchestrator tool. Moreover, it is a orchestrator tool. like everything, like we are going to do everything in Java. Okay, like the coding part we are going to do in Java. Okay, so the thing is like basically what RPA is, like what we are doing is like we are replacing what humans are doing one by one manually, and we are making it more like automating. We are automating that work. Okay, so suppose a work which is done, like suppose a form we are getting and it is being filled by a human over a period of time. Like he need to fill at suppose he need to fill it at a certain interval. Okay, for different purpose or for different thing. Okay, so what we need is like we have written the code in Java to automate. Okay, but now the thing is like how we can run that code on a particular schedule. So that part is what WorkFusion provides. And several apart from that, like WorkFusion has several other features also that WorkFusion has exposed. Like it has given its own ML model to for the machine learning purpose, like in order to fetch details, like for the extracting details from particular pages or images or something. Okay, so other features also WorkFusion has given, but like primarily what it is a orchestrator tool with several other capabilities. Okay, so now what makes WorkFusion different? Okay, so now in the market, like if you go, we have majorly like autumn RPA tools as a like in based on .NET. Okay, so as per my like knowledge, this is like one of the best tool that we have for Java. Okay, for Java developers, it is a best Java like RPA tool that have come up. And I think on based on Java, we have very less tool for RPA development as well. That makes it unique. Okay, so this is the main feature like that makes it unique. Like it is basically a Java tool. And the other tools, like if you see like WorkFusion, if you have seen like UiPath or Blue Prism or Automation Anywhere or any other tool, basically it is a that those are like majorly like a drag and drop kind of tool. So developer are not going to code anything, they are just going to write business logic there. If it comes with a like a drag and drop basis, it will be more like a reserve functionalities that those tools can provide. Okay, so they are we cannot customize many things, we cannot customize after a line. But while working with WorkFusion, we are coding everything from scratch. We are writing our own code. We are using our own way of writing automation code. Okay, so we can have multiple things. We can use as many as third-party APIs, third-party dependencies or APIs which we are going to use, which we need to use. We can use anything. There are many ways of doing a single operation. Okay, that flexibility is that like WorkFusion provides us. Okay, so these are main features like why we are going to cover WorkFusion. And before like from the past like 1 year, like we are before we are using like a WorkFusion as what like local installation servers. Okay, like we have a server which we have installed on premise servers. But now as the technology advances, like there is a generation of cloud, so WorkFusion has also moves its application to cloud now. So we have like a now cloud development environment as well. So that is one. Or WorkFusion are also giving us like many new functionalities when it comes to ML part. So most mature part is like WorkFusion's ML model is one of the main advantage of WorkFusion. Why WorkFusion, like various clients are preferring WorkFusion. So whenever it is coming toward the machine learning part, WorkFusion is like giving us a major feature. So nowadays like WorkFusion like has given like we have several basically like models which WorkFusion has provided, like the ML models like for information extraction as well as classification. Okay, so as a part of this, WorkFusion has also given us like auto ML SDK part, which we can configure. Like it is basically nothing more than like configuring ML model as per our customization. Okay, so we can do that part. Apart from that, nowadays WorkFusion has also provided like a Python ML model deployment. Like we can create our own model in 10.2.x. So WorkFusion has provided like Python enablement also. So that makes it unique. Okay, and more features it provides. Okay, now what are the various components WorkFusion provides us? So okay, so here it is the thing. Okay, so basically what is WorkFusion is, basically what WorkFusion contains of these three things. Basically the services which WorkFusion provide, the WorkFusion application, and the data, how it is organizing the data. Okay, so basically WorkFusion provides three applications to us. That is like a control tower, that is a web-based application, workspace, that is again a web-based application, and a WorkFusion studio, that is our desktop application basically. Okay, going through this one by one. So what is control tower? Control tower is basically a UI interface that of using WorkFusion. Okay, so basically all the features we can access through this control tower, through this the control tower. And I will open the control tower once for you maybe. So while it is getting started, so we will move forward. So control tower, basically it is a UI based application, and we have several features which we can access through this. Everything, like almost everything we can access for Fusion is through this control tower. Okay, so now moving for the workspace. What is workspace? Basically there might be a condition like we need to move something like for the human intervention while automating. Okay, either it is a review part or something that we need to move for the human part. Okay, then comes the like when this is when like workspace come in picture. Okay, basically it is a like manual task queue management application. Okay, so everything that comes in the for the human intervention comes falls in the workspace. Okay, so as a part of this like WorkFusion training, we are also going to cover like how we can like there is like predefined structure WorkFusion has also provided like for the manual task. Okay, so we can customize that UI as well as per our need. So how we can do that part is also like what I am covering, I am going to cover as a part of this WorkFusion training. So here comes like we got another like prerequisite. So one should have knowledge regarding JavaScript. Okay, although I will be covering the basic part of the JavaScript, like if you need to like do more advancement and more like unique UI or more customization, you should have the knowledge of JavaScript. Okay, so this is like what WorkFusion workspace is like. So workspace we have like two major function. It is like a manual task queue management and manual task processing. Okay, now WorkFusion Studio comes in picture. So now WorkFusion Studio is like for the developers, for us basically. Like if we want to code something, how we can do that? So it is like a WorkFusion Studio through which we can write our code and deploy it to control tower. Basically WorkFusion is the customization of Eclipse like we use for the Java development. Okay, so if you want to see WorkFusion Studio as well, so I have WorkFusion Studio, I'm going to open it. So meanwhile it is opening. Is it like the control tower is open? Okay, so meanwhile the control tower is being open. So various services which WorkFusion has given us, like the ODF. This is the Open Development Framework that WorkFusion has recently introduced in like past 1 year. So a whole of the development we are going to use this ODF framework. Apart from RPA bots like through which like we are going to perform the RPA operation. OCR basically like to read the characters or read the information from the scanned documents or the digital PDFs like from the images. So workflow, how we are going to manage our workflow, that is also one of the service that WorkFusion has provided. Nexus repository is like for deploying our code like jars. Basically, like as a Java developer, you must know like when we are going to develop, they're going to deploy our Java code onto the server, we are going to either do it in war file or on the jar file. So basically, for WorkFusion, we are going to do that with the jar files. So we are going to deploy those jars to the Nexus repository, from where like the control tower is interacting and reading the Java code. Okay. Next thing is like the BEP. That is also another component that we will cover more, like more in deep when it comes to in the future tutorial. Okay. So now for the data management, the next part is like the data management part. So now I think control tower is ready. The studio is ready. So meanwhile, like the data for the data management, okay, so it has provided three main components for the data management. Okay, for the secret vault one, it has provided database and the object storage. Okay, so what is secret vault basically? Okay, so secret vault is none other like for storing the credential things. Okay, as you know, secret. So secret, as name also said like secret. So secrecy is like the privacy part. So suppose whenever we are going to log in into an application, we are not going to write the username and password within the code. We are going to store it in the secret vault, and from secret vault to like either with the web harvester tags or with the API, we are going to fetch the credentials from the secret vault, and we are going to use in the code. We are not going to expose it in the code, the credentials in the code. It will be a severe like a critical bug for us if we are going to write the credentials in the code itself. Initially, we are going to do that, but later, as we move forward during this training, we are going to replace it with the API or with the virus tags. Okay. Apart from like database, so basically, what it is using, like the WorkFusion is using Microsoft MS SQL Server. Okay, for storing everything as a part of for storing data, okay, for as a part of an any RP business process. So basically it is like a database itself, you can say. We have tables in it, we have tables, we have various, we can create several columns, everything. We can upload data to that table using a control tower. We are getting a feature in the control tower to access data stored directly using UI. We can also like install MS SQL Server, and we can configure our data store database inside the local MS SQL Server. Okay, so that part we will be covering through this. Apart from that, like when it comes to the WorkFusion terms, like dictionary, database, whenever it comes to database thing, we are going to call it as a data store, not as a database. So WorkFusion has given us various data store plugins. I will be covering like what are plugins and what are web harvest plugins. So WorkFusion has exposed WorkFusion web harvest plugins for accessing the data store. Apart from that, there will be a equivalent APIs as well through which we can access the data store and perform operations on the data store. Okay, so basically now the object storage. Okay, next object storage is basically like whenever we are going to store the JSON objects or different kind of XML objects or these kind of storage also Fusion has also provided us. Like this is a major thing like when it comes to like whenever like either we are going to save the responses from the REST API, or either when we are doing the OCR operation, then also we are going to use it widely. Okay, so this is basically like what a WorkFusion Studio looks like. Okay, it has some customization as per the WorkFusion. It is basically Eclipse if you have ever used Eclipse. So there will be a project structure. So we are going to use. Okay, so meanwhile, I will also show you like what all artifact we need to install. Okay, so while using this, okay, that part we will cover then itself. Okay, so when we are going to install it locally, then we are going to see like how we are going to use WorkFusion. I'm facing some issue with the WorkFusion Studio. So let me start it again, maybe. Control tower. Okay. Meanwhile, moving on to the next next topic. So what we have covered till time is like prerequisite introduction to the WorkFusion and various components of the WorkFusion. So now the thing is like, what are warehouse tags? Okay. So as a part of this, we have also like WorkFusion has also given us warehouse context. Okay. If you know Java, like you must know like what is context. Context are like predefined variables that WorkFusion has provided in order to access something. Okay, so in a particular scope. Okay, so web harvest context tags, and there this is the like basically documentation which WorkFusion has provided us. So web harvest tags are none other than that like an HTML tag with several attributes, okay, which are going to perform various operations. So WorkFusion has given us many web harvest tags as a part of this. So we have call, case, for if and else condition, config. Okay, to write this will be the like the main root element for our bot configuration. Database, to access the database, now it is being replaced as a data store. Okay, so db param, the various database parameters we want to give. This is an empty. Okay, in order to exit, break the configuration, file. There are several things. Okay, as the name says, like you can see like try and catch. So basically, try and catch for exception handling we can use. If we want to convert XML to JSON, we have a data store plugin. I have harvest tags plugins. Okay, basically these are what we call processors are basically called the plugins which data which WorkFusion has provided. Web harvest plugin. If you can see the documentation one by one. So if we want to call any function, okay, we can directly call using the call plugin. Okay, so call, we have a name, we can provide the name, and we can provide the parameter name. If a function requires a parameter name, we can provide it from here. Okay, so this is what typical like calling looks like for a wireless tag. Okay, so you can like not now, but as we proceed, you will be like getting all the like how we can use and some of the things that you might also need to explore, and some of the things that I'm also going to tell you. Each and everything like we are going to cover as a part of this tutorial. Okay, so like if you can see, if you want to see like case is basically like an if and else condition. So switch or inside like we have like this case. So if inside case we have like if and the condition and the expression we can provide, we can define the body. Like inside body, if we want to call any Java method or anything, that kind of thing we can perform. Else and else body, that is the thing. If you can see an example, like we have a variable defined, we have defined a variable, we have defined an expression, xpath expression. So we can give like this contact me. So we can give like case if the contact dot to string is not equals to blank, then we will give the contact name. Otherwise we will define it as we are going to give a return back contact is not defined, which is going to store in this contact mail. So if you can see, this is a nested calling. Basically, we have used vardep function, vardep plug in order to define a variable. This variable's value is going to set depending on this case. So this is one of the way. Apart from that, we have config. Like config will be the major, like the initial, like the main parent root element. Basically, you can call. Okay. So the as a part of the bot configuration. Okay, so we have database also as a plugin. So we can provide the JDBC connection, everything, and it will and we can write a query and it will return the result. Okay, as per that. So this is like what we have as a plugin. Moreover, as a plugin, so we have several plugin that we are going to use as a part of this. So we will be going to the each plugin one by one in the more detailed tutorials. Okay, so now the next thing is like moving forward, we have so now the AP context part. We have harvest context. So we have like WorkFusion has given us various predefined context in order to access if we want to have something like unique. Okay, so where there are various system context. Okay, so system context is like sys is basically like stand for system. So it is like if we use if it will be equals to, like, it will replace it with backslash, and that will be a next line. Like this, if we want to get date, then we have if, we use this dot date function, so we are going to get a date, time, we are going to get a time. We are going to use the date time with a format, then we are going to, it will return a date time the specific format. These kind of objects which WorkFusion expose. Okay, apart from that, there are like system, there are various like HTTP objects as well. Like in order to that, the client, content length, character string, their status code, if we have like hit a particular REST API, what response we are getting it, all those things. Apart from that, we have log. So in order to log, basically it is like what WorkFusion is using is like the SLF4J, okay, logger, and it is going to log on the control tower basically. Okay, so we have this inside Java code as well. We are going to use like this itself, log.info. Okay, but there will be a, okay. So for the first approach, it will be a like moreover like inside the Groovy file we are going to use, or an XML file we are going to use through Groovy. But later we will, as we move to the BCD structure, we are going to use the Java approach. Okay, we need to pass logger everywhere in the parameter constructor, and then we need to use it. Okay, so these are the things. Basically, there are several other contexts that we will be using and through this entire training part. Apart from that, now the next topic will be like what is ODF. Like major, like these are the side things. Moreover, more what I need to focus through this entire training will be the ODF framework. Okay, so ODF will be like more, ODF is like a Java way of doing. Basically, it is a Java development framework which WorkFusion has introduced. So it is Java ODF 1.0 and ODF 2.0. Basically, 2.0 is still in more maturing phase. So the market standard is as per the ODF 1.0. That comes as a part of WorkFusion 10.x. Okay, so we are going to use 10.1.x as of now. So we have got 10.2.x as well, but it is still not mature enough. So it is not a stable version as of now. So we are going to use 10.1.x. If we got some stable version when we were covering that training in the train side, during the training part, I'm going to cover the features of ODF 2.0 as well, like what we got, and we will do some hands-on also during that part. But moreover, if we got a stable version, I will give you a more brief how to work on 10.2.x. Okay, so basically what is ODF? Like it is an open development framework. Okay, so it is an open development framework that WorkFusion has recently introduced for like more like moving from the like more from the Java Ruby code like to the more Java approach. Like it is replacing the web harvest tags with the APIs. More, it emphasize more on using the APIs rather than using the web harvest tags. Apart from that, the major feature why WorkFusion has what ODF includes is the Feather framework. Okay, so what is Feather in the Feather framework? It is basically a dependency injection thing. Okay, so now it comes in picture like what is dependency injection. Okay, so dependency injection is basically like a, so when it comes to dependency injection, IOC comes in picture. Okay, comes in picture with the dependency injection. So what is IOC? Inversion of control basically. Inversion of control is nothing more than like a like as the word define itself. So inversion of control is basically like till now what we are doing we are doing is like we are calling, so we are calling an object from a call, like basically a caller is calling the object. Okay, so just caller is calling an object like this. Suppose we have a class, we have an interface A, we have its implementation class is like class B, implements of A. Okay, so if we want to call class B, then mostly like the best approach is like A is equals to new B. What we are doing it. So basically, like we are injecting object here. So who is injecting object? Like it is the caller class which is injecting the object. So now, as a part of the inversion of control, what it is like, we will be passing the class, okay, interface, okay. As per the beans configuration, the framework will take care of injecting the dependency of initializing the object, basically. Okay, that is what like a dependency injection is. It is now the framework's task to inject the dependency for the class. Okay, so WorkFusion has introduced this part as well. We have like several binding contexts. It will initialize those contexts and it will inject it throughout the code. Okay, so this is one of the major feature of the ODF framework. So apart from that, we have like various ways of like we can access the other database using our JDBC approach. And apart from that, we are going to, as a part of this, like we are going to use majorly a page object design pattern. Moreover, like we will be keeping each page functionality in a separate class. Like suppose we have 4 pages. Okay, we are going to automate 4 pages. Like we have login page, we have statement page, okay, we have something like an account, okay, we have like an setting page, account setting page, we have profile management page. Okay, so what we are going to do is like suppose login page, we have functionalities like enter username, password, and click on submit. So all the things like we are going to organize within a, so login will be one class. Inside this we will be having basically 3 functions. Like we have a function for entering username, password, and and submit, clicking on the submit part. So basically we are going to use this login page. So this is the way like we are going to organize everything. So basically like we are going to initialize each web element through a web, like through an annotated manner inside a page object using the page object design pattern. Okay, so what we are going to use is like page object, we are going to use object design pattern, or we can also call that as facade design pattern. Okay, facade design pattern we are going to use through this training. Okay, so now one thing is this, we are also going to see like how we can use a logger. Okay, so how we can use the S3 plugins API, basically what we call API, in order to interact with S3. Basically, like what S3 is. Okay, so WorkFusion provides an S3. Basically, it is an Amazon service, cloud service for file storage. Basically, okay, it is for cloud storage. Okay, so WorkFusion provides this service. WorkFusion provide this service to us, so we can store our file. Basically, it is a cloud-based file directory. So how we are going to access file from the S3, and how we are going to read the content. Suppose how many types of file we can create. If we want to create a separate how a bucket, how we can create a bucket. Everything we are going to see as a part of this tutorial. Let's wait for some more time maybe. So okay, so apart from that now, so ODF framework, we have seen like what ODF framework is and basic structure like throughout the ODF and main features what work ODF framework has given us. Okay, so these are the like topics which I am going to cover today. It will be like a good informative session for you guys. That is all from my side for today. Thanks for attending this demo.